A very good morning, everyone. My name is Abhilash Gopalakrishnan, and I have spent over 2 decades in software systems architecture and design. Today, we plan to take you through overview and architecture and design of an online platform, retail space kind of, as a demonstrator. Hope you will enjoy it. We will have this demonstrator. Just to set the context, we are looking at an online retail store, a minimal one with a login. Then it shows the products list. Then you can add the products, select them and add them to the basket. Identify the shipping address you want the products to be sent. Proceed to checkout and perform payment. As we are trying to build this using an incremental approach, therefore at the moment we are going to demonstrate you what we have as a login and seeing a list of products. Overview of architecture. As you see here, we are looking at using NoSQL database like MongoDB with Flask and Python using Mongo engine as the object document mapping concept in between. And this is the backend, which provides RESTful HTTP RESTful services, which is invoked by the front end using React.js and Node.js, and then presents it to the user. So overall, you will see that it's organized in three parts. The backend, we have the model definitions, which is kind of representing the data objects and the database, and then the controllers and the routes. And when there is a service invocation coming, it goes through the routes, and then the controller responds to it, and then using the models, they collect data from the database, which is MongoDB, and provide it. On the front end, you will see similarly organized services, so that we are making these client calls to services, and then components, the React.js components using login and product list. And when you log in, you are navigated to the products list. So overall interaction is also described here. Now let us dive into the application itself. So when you see the PyCharm window, what I have done is set Flask app manage.py, using which we have told the Flask that this is the main Python file for Flask. So now we can execute Flask using Flask run. You see that the server is now up and running. So if you click on the link, it will show retail store API running. So if you want to test it, typically we will go through, either we can try the browser itself. So there is some error. I think I have opened the wrong project, sorry. So I will again set Flask app. So now you see the products list is coming through the browser. We can also use Postman for similar kind of testing. So when you are seeing this project, you can download this project from GitHub by going to the repo. So you will notice that you are able to see the entire products list coming from the web page. We can also use so what we can do right now is to just have a look at MongoDB database that we are creating. So right now what I will do, I will drop the database and using a command line window, I can again go create the database. So we need to go to the same folder and execute the script. So if the scripts execute without any errors, you will notice the database is getting created. So I will refresh my database now just to demonstrate okay, the retail store is getting created and some default users are also there. This is possible because we are keeping a Mongo init file and using that to update the recreate the database. So now let us come back to the PyCharm window. Now the service endpoints are working and we have already seen the application is running and providing products list. So now let us go to the React.js application and execute the same. So here typically we will have to have the npm install and then say npm start. So now this leads to the start of the application, which we can see it in the browser window. In a few minutes, it takes a little bit of time for the application to start. Yeah. Now we can see that the application is loading since we have some default users, we will use that default users to get going. In the meantime, also we want to say that we can always verify most of the APIs using Postman. So we will obviously see it running. Yeah. So the application is now up. So we have given a built-in user in the database, which is not a great approach, but at the same time we are able to quickly get there. So with that, Joe and test 1, 2, we are logging. You see the application is collecting all the products from the database and presenting it in a nice fashion. So when we go back to the PyCharm as well, you'll notice these calls related to the product has come here, and then the authentication related call as well. Typically, we store passwords obviously as hash. So here we are presenting it in, but so we will be hashing it from the client as well as the server. Right now, we are only caching it in the client for convenience per se. So looking back at what we noticed, this is the interaction that happened, login, then post, and then after that it navigates to home. This is the same thing that we can see in the PyCharm window as well. I will just expand the PyCharm window so that you see there is a login related, authentication related call, and then the post, and then there is a get because the authentication related post, and then the get of the products. So typically, like all RESTful applications, we are basically providing back the updated product objects and list so that we can see them, and the state is getting updated over the JSON file, JSON format. So now we'll go back to our presentation. So what we have done is also kind of capturing all these details in the presentation so that you can get started with it. So if you are not comfortable with PyCharm environment, obviously you can go to PyCharm, open PyCharm in the src folder and set up the interpreter and with a virtual environment interpreter setup as explained here, and then using pip install to install, because we have captured all the requirements, yeah, all the dependencies to be installed as part of the application requirement.txt using pip freeze command. So you can use pip install -r requirements.txt, which will install all the dependencies. And then, like I showed, set flask as up equal to manage.py. In Linux case, it is export, not set, because it is an environmental variable. And then, like I presented, if the database already exists, you need to drop it and then run the script, and the objects are getting created. We can always also use Postman to execute the test and see the capability. Postman kind of provides us a capability. Also, Postman can be integrated as part of your CI/CD pipeline. This is also the URL to the front end, and this is the front end aspects and how front end can be run. So like I mentioned, npm install and npm start. So what we have discussed the backend using Python, Flask, Mongo Engine, and MongoDB. Front end using Node.js, React.js, testing using Postman, step by step approach. And I hope you will benefit from it. Thank you for your kind attention. Have a great day.